Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. We go ahead with the question session and we start with, Ya Ahmed, tfaddal.
Rahid, please ask your question again, Akhi.
Tfaddal, Ya Rahid.
The doctor has prescribed my father to take antibiotics every 4 hours, thus obviously not allowing him to fast. So does he have to pay the fidya or does he just make up the fast later on?
Antibiotic for something which is chronical or non-chronical?
Non-chronical, so he has a recent issue with his kidneys, which has just been found.
And then it will be resolved, he said, or is this permanent?
No, inshallah, it will be resolved after.
Then he has to make up for the fast. There is no such thing for fidya.
Okay.
من كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى. It's clear. Quran says that if you are on a journey and if you are ill, then you have to compensate on other days. Now, not every person who's on a journey and not every person who is in an illness, okay, they are allowed to break the fast. The illness that you fear, this illness that will increase, it will get worse. This illness that will affect you if you fast. That's the illness you break the fast with. But somebody that, say, for example, had a little cut here, just a little, nothing. I'm ill, I want to break my fast. No. But if it was like when we have one of the scholars of the Tabi'een, Ibn Sirin, it's Ibn Sirin or Ibn Musayyib now. My head is not really focused. It's Ibn Sirin or Sa'id Ibn Musayyib, one of the two. He'd been breaking his fast and he had that deep cut in his finger. And he thought that maybe this will increase. He needs glucose and he needs to, to break this fast. And also the journey. So it has to be a journey. So if it's a journey, it's a travel. But if it's not a travel, you're just going from one A to B and you're still not traveling, probably you don't really break the fast. And by the way, the journey and the travel and the illness had been left in general. So too much illness, a little bit of illness, as long as you fear that illness will increase, will allow you to break your fast. Same thing, whether there's a journey to China or a journey towards Scotland or Birmingham, it's a journey, regardless. Whether you go on plane or a train or on foot, it's a journey. So you have the option to break the fast, but you have to compensate. Now,
those private messaging me about raising your hand like our brother Abu Sulaiman, you need to go to the list of names, bottom right corner. There's 3 dots. Once you click that, you can raise your hand, okay? Hope that explains. Next question. Are women allowed to wear loose trousers with a long top, or are we only allowed jilbab, abaya, etc.?
You're allowed to put trousers and loose trousers as long as it covers all of it, all the way to down. But he's talking about, I don't know how low she's talking about when she said trousers. So you want to put, like, for example, a skirt. It's not allowed because that the trousers underneath show the legs. Okay, it shows the size of the legs anyway, regardless of how loose they are. Okay, so it has to be jilbab on top of it. Now, abaya.
Can we go to Abu Muhammad, please? Abu Muhammad, please don't unmute yourself. Admin will do it for you. Otherwise, you'll be muted again.
Sheikh?
Faddal.
I want to know, is there a difference between the amount of food you give for kafara or fidya to the person?
Why, Abu Muhammad, you're too far from the microphone?
I don't know.
Can you get closer to the microphone, to the laptop or whatever you have? So is there any difference between the what? Again, the kafara and the fidya?
Regarding the feeding of kafara.
What's the difference? Now everybody's going to be surprised. What are you doing before?
I was wearing my headset before.
Okay, go ahead.
Regarding the kafara and the fidya, is there a certain amount of food or is there a difference how much you feed for the person?
Kafara of what? Can you just give me an example?
If the person fell into the
sexual intercourse, for example, in Ramadan.
Yeah.
So he wants to make a kafara, which is feeding 60 poor people. That's if he's not able to free a slave or he's not able to fast 2 months consecutively.
Yes.
Okay. Or kafara of an oath for feeding 10 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the fidya of which fidya are we talking about now?
If his wife was pregnant or breastfeeding.
Yeah. Well, both of them is called it'am miskin, both of them. Okay, and both of them as well, that you're allowed to give. So what you're allowed to give is from the average food, but the fidya, which is to do with the pregnancy and the elders, that there is a saying from one of the companions, that is Aisha or Abdullah ibn Abbas, that it is half a sa'. There's something, by the way, you're making
Please, can we
noise.
mute the question as well? The
Can you
Sheikh
mute
is
it?
answering.
Yeah. So basically, that the person is allowed to give half a sa' of barley, half a sa' of wheat, hinta, wheat, in the case of the fidya. Whereas in the case of the kaffara, there is no such thing. So in the kaffara, you have to feed the poor person, it'am. Whereas in the case of the fidya, for the pregnant and for the breastfeeding, you could give half a sa', 2.5 kilos, well, 1 sa' of rice, 2.5 kilos for each day that you break the fast. So you could give 30, you could give, because of the saying of the companion, and we don't have any other companion to oppose that. Now,
This sister she has a 4-month baby, 4 months old, and she tends to wake up after suhoor for a feed. So I sometimes have a few minutes to eat suhoor. If I start eating before Fajr starts, can I finish my food? And this happens regularly, even though I try to wake up early to eat. Is that a problem?
so she's trying to wake up early, but she wakes up 4 minutes. Doesn't matter. She wakes up just before Fajr, before sahur, before Fajr. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Once
She's saying, can she keep eating? But I think because she's running out of time.
Eating whatever she's got. Eating, that means what you have. So you have the plate. You've started before the sahur, the Fajr. You started your sahur before Fajr. You could continue, okay, until you could continue. I'll have to see these messages as well because they're updating me. Right. So you could continue what you have, but you can't start something else. So if you have a cup, you finish it. You can't fill it up the cup. If you have, for example, the plate, you can't fill up the plate. You eat it. And you try your best. It doesn't matter if you had number of times, woken up just about before sahur. Because you see, when you have a habit, I don't know how the habit is working with you, because we know that the Fajr time is going earlier and earlier. So does your habit as well goes earlier and earlier with it? I mean, you woke up, for example, yesterday, for example, let's say 4 o'clock, and your sahur is 4:06, for example. Tomorrow is going to be 4:02, 4:03. So does your habit goes 3:59? So you must have, so it's going to be going earlier and earlier. So please twist your habit to go and change it to be earlier, much earlier, so you could really eat proper food, inshallah, especially when you are pregnant as well. Now, by the way, saying 4 months pregnancy or not, it doesn't really make any difference. But saying pregnant, you are pregnant. So if you are fearing for yourself, for your
He's
baby,
had a baby, Sheikh. The baby is 4 months old. He's already
he's already
waking her up. He's waking her up. That's why she's having trouble.
Forgive me, Sheikh. Right, so he's waking her up. Yes, okay, I understand that. So he's waking her up, mashallah, just about 6 minutes before sahur. طيب. We will, inshallah. So we will say to the sister, don't worry, keep eating until you finish what you've got. Don't make something new. But please now make your alarm to be earlier. Jazakallah khair, Ahmed, for correcting me now.
Jazak, Sheikh. Can we have the next questioner, please?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. It's Abu Zakaria. Sheikh, my question is purely if somebody is a young man and their neighbor is a single woman and he fears fitna from her, and so he avoids her at all costs, is he excused for his negligence of being a neighbor?
Avoid at all costs. Why? To avoid her. Why at all costs? So, for example, does not send food to her?
Because due to the fact that if he interacts with her, she starts to.
You don't have to interact. Being nice to the neighbor is basically, it doesn't mean you have to communicate directly with the neighbor.
Okay.
So if she is a lady, you're talking about she's a girl and he's a man?
Yeah.
Okay. Then he cannot be, is he married or not married?
He's not married.
He's not married. Then I would say being kind to the neighbor here is satisfying his lust more than he's being nice to the neighbor.
This is the
So,
thing, yeah.
Yeah. So once they go to the house, if he sees her, they just, lower his, and he's, say salamu alaikum, and he enters the house. But if he sees himself in a fitna that he will be pulled to a chit chat with her, keep away. Keep away as much as he can. Because this is darura. The other one is when we have side mahdhur and ma'mur, the mahdhur takes precedence. نعم. الحاضر مقدم على المبيح. This is the principle. The one prohibits takes precedence over the one that makes it permissible. No.
The sister is asking that she recently had a proposal from a student of knowledge, and her family accepted him because of his character is good. But the problem is, it's been over 2 years since they've been trying to get her married, and her brothers are not, she's saying her brothers are not really doing their job as her guardians. And this person, he had retracted the offer, even though he wanted to get married with her. She's saying, my brothers have been delaying and not setting up meetings. What advice do you give me for this situation? What is upon me to do, and what advice should I give to my brothers?
I mean, their brothers should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they should know that their sister is in dire need of marriage, because it looks like from the person who's questioning that she's approving that student of knowledge. She wants him. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا أرى للمتحبين, I can't find anything better for those people who love one another except for marriage. So the marriage would solve everything. So I would say to the brothers to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's an advice for them. And to look at the interests of their sister and to process the marriage in line with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said, من أتاكم من ترضون دينه وأمانته فزوجوه. If someone comes to you and you are pleased with his manners, pleased with his religion, then get him married. إلا تكن فتنة في الأرض أو فساد عريض. Otherwise it will be fitna, tribulation, trouble, or fasad, mischief from the land. Each one will be fornicating because there is no marriage. So if you have come to you somebody like this, 2 years, subhanallah. 2 years is not really allowed. That's not allowed. So she could seek the help of an imam, local imam. Tell him the problem. Inshallah, we'll tell them. Talk to them. Now.
Can we have the next questioner, please?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Just one question. My missus, she was pregnant for the first Ramadan, she couldn't fast. And for the second year, because she was feeding my daughter. So is it, what's the, for catching up with Ramadan, is it she has to, either fast for 2 months, or is it she has to feed, the poor? But sometimes you cannot feed, should we, take it out as a money instead of the food, if it is permissible? And on the other hand, some people, they say you have to fast 2 months. You cannot, either feed the poor, because you can fast by now when you are well. And thank you.
Give me another question as well. Let me read the question. Better for me to get more answers.
If there is...
No, not you. I'm talking about somebody else. Another question, please.
Keva Sunnah, please. Sorry, actually, I've got a written question first.
Taking another approach to take more questions now. Hold on.
Can you please explain the correct Sunnah method for a female to perform ghusl? There are many methods. I hear about the female washing her hair where she doesn't have to wet it at all, only her scalp.
The question is how to make ghusl for the sisters.
Yep.
Don't have to long question. What is it? Ghusl for the sisters. Now, number 3. Fadal. Give me another question.
Keva Sunnah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. The question is the reconciliation between the two ahadith when the Prophet ﷺ said that we will never be able to get the reward like the Sahaba, even if we gave gold like Mount Uhud, and the other narration about getting the reward of like the 50 of the Sahaba, the people who are to come not to see me and believe in me. So how do you reconcile between these two ahadith? Jazakallah.
Salam. Number 4, please.
I want to know
Yeah.
I want to know if a wife can give fidya on behalf of her deceased husband. Would that benefit him?
The last question, please. Fifth one. Answer 5-5.
Mu'addab, please go ahead.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. During Ramadan, is it important for me to finish reading Quran several times, or I can revise Quran, say for example, memorize a surah or revise the surahs I memorized?
Jazakallah khairan. Okay, I'll answer now. And this will give us more chance to address more questions. As for the first question regarding the pregnancy and the breastfeeding, we always say that the woman is always from pregnancy to breastfeeding, from breastfeeding to pregnancy. That's why we say the correct opinion regarding this, whether she fears for herself or fears for her baby, the breastfeeding baby or the baby which is in her belly if she's pregnant, regardless of she fears for both or for one of them, okay, regardless, because you're going to have lots of fatawa, ya akhi. So I'm telling you now one of the 5 madhabs, some of them call them 4, the 5 madhabs regarding this, that the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas and hadith of Aisha and hadith Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, they were bluntly. Abdullah ibn Umar, he had commanded his wife, okay, not to fast because she was pregnant with his daughter, with his children, and he told her to make the to pay the fidya. Also, we had Abdullah ibn Abbas. He said, and there is no making up of the fast. So she's allowed. She is under the verse وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ. So if you're going to listen to me, and I'm conveying you to the fatwa of one of the scholars' fatwa, and it's supported by the saying of Abdullah ibn Abbas and Abdullah ibn Umar bluntly. Even Abdullah ibn Umar, he had a daughter, not just only his wife. She was married to a person from Quraysh, and she was seriously so thirsty when she was pregnant, breastfeeding. So he told her, break your fast. He commanded actually, break your fast and pay the fidya. So we say, your wife is to pay the fidya for every month or every day that she broke the fast because she was pregnant or breastfeeding. That's why we say the woman, she's either how can she make up? So the madhab would say that she will make up if she's fears for herself. She has to make up because it's like somebody who's ill. This is qiyas, ya akhi, but there is nas, there is sahabi nas, and we don't have somebody from the other sahaba to oppose this. So we say the sahabi, qawl al-sahabi hujjah. This is our madhab, Salafi madhab. The sahabi saying is a hujjah as long as we don't have any other sahaba to oppose him. So we have 2 sahabi, with the greatest ones, Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas. The one who say Abdullah ibn Abbas has got rukhas, concession. Abdullah ibn Umar azaim, that he takes the harder choice. I need to be off for 1 second, please. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry about that. I have to cut you off regarding this because of number of issues, which is to do with as I said, I've got a very sensitive case taking place in my country there. Fine. So we said the pregnant and the breastfeeding, the correct opinion is that she could pay the fidya and she doesn't fast. Who said so? Abdullah ibn Abbas. She doesn't make up for the fast. So she has got two choices, either to fast, okay, or not to fast. If she doesn't fast, there is no such thing to compensate by making up the days. Because we said there is a nas from the Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas, that she will make up by paying the fidya for every day that she breaks up. And that will make it easy. Second question, ghusl of the sister. The ghusl of the sister is the same thing as the ghusl of the brothers. It's except for the braided hair. If it is ghusl of janaba, she doesn't have to undo her plaited, braided hair. She doesn't have to do it because it's too much. But if it's ghusl of the menses or the postnatal, she has to undo it. Okay. Now the ghusl starts just like any ghusl, whether it's men or female. Okay. First of all, that is, you wash your hands. If you are taken from the bucket, you wash your hands away from the bucket. Okay. You wash your private parts. You start with this is the ghusl. You wash your private parts. You wash your hands again to take it off. Then you start now making the wudu. All of it, including your feet, because normally you have a tub that is the water is running. But if you don't have a tub which is running water, then you leave your feet on the last thing. Why? Because you're going to take it out of the water that you have used. It's not really impure water, but this is to remove the waswasa, to leave the last thing. But if your water is running, make full wudu. Okay. Then you start with your head. Okay. And then you put the water onto your body. So you start with the right, start with the left. And the maghabin, the areas which is in between. And that's the wudu is finished. Now, if it was ghusl of janaba, okay, or ghusl of any ghusl, and you made the ghusl, and if you are making ghusl, if you have broken wind, it doesn't break your ghusl. It breaks your wudu. So if you have, let's say, finished your feet and everything, and you came out of the ghusl, and you broke wind, or while you're doing it, you only make the wudu. You don't make the ghusl again. Okay, it breaks the wudu. It does not break the ghusl itself. Fine. Third question, how can we reconcile between 50 Sahabi, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that if إِنَّ مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ أَيَّامَ الصَّبْرِ, verily, that you're going to find the days of sabr, patience. That means the turbulence and tribulations and things like what's happening these days. Okay, the one who is holding to what is you are upon, to the companions. So whatever you're holding, if any person in that time is holding to whatever you're holding on, you will have 50 times the reward of yours. So one of the companions, which is Umar Khattab, asked Messenger of Allah, 50 times his reward or our reward? He said, your reward. So what if you, for example, a companion does charity, okay, and I do the same charity at this time, I will receive 50 times his reward. Now the other hadith says, Prophet of Allah, if you had to spend in charity the mountain of gold, or gold that like the mountain of Uhud, you will not reach the same reward if a companion had to spend full. I have to address this as well. Allah al-Musta'an. Sorry about that again. For the, I need to switch off the recording because the recording has been, I'll divide it. I'll take these sessions off, inshallah. Regarding the reconciliation between the hadith does not really conflict with one another. Basically, it says that you're going to get a mighty reward if you're doing the same thing as the companion. But it doesn't mean you're going to match the companion. So you're going to get 50 times his reward. But when you put the reward of his all together, you will not be able to reach it. You will not be able to reach the companion. So there's no conflict. We don't have to make a conflict between them. So the companion, in terms of in his total ibadah, you will not reach him. No way we can compare ourselves. No generation can compare themselves to the companion. They are the best of generations. You could be more in fasting than a particular companion in the fasting. You could be more in that particular. You could compare your zakah more than him. You could compare, but if you put your totality with his totality, he will be better. Not only that, even if you are better in everything, he will be better than you because he saw the Prophet ﷺ. And to see the Prophet ﷺ at that time and to believe in him is different from now sitting on your couch like that and you relaxing. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. Simple. The time of the companions, if you want to say that, you're going to be lashed, whipped, tortured. Your parents be slain in front of you. So it's not like this, and mashallah, you're relaxing, saying, I'm a Muslim. No. So at that time, the person who is holding to his deen, he will be killed. And we're going to reach the time when you're going to hold it to your deen, it's like a burning coal. But it was not a burning coal, it was fire, it was death. You're putting your life at stake. That's why seeing the companion in itself is better than your ibadah for 60 years. I think for the following question, that is it permissible for the wife to give the fidya on her behalf of her husband who had died? Correct me if I said the question wrongly, because I'm just put some milestones here because I left it for a long time. So
You're correct, Sheikh.
So if this woman, she wants to give the fidya, that means her husband, let's say, lived to see Ramadan and he was not able to fast because it was old age, chronic illness, then she must pay the fidya from his money. Not from her money, from his money. To pay the fidya to feed the 64 people. So when the person dies, the prioritization of his will, of his estate, will be as follows. Number one, the money that goes to free the assets. Let's say, for example, he's got houses, but they are frozen. You can't sell them and buy them until you pay such and such because they've been pawned. So we take the money to be unpawned this. Number two, second one, is the loans, and the loans in categories. Loan number one, that is loans of Allah Azza wa Jal. The loans of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means that the person who is in debt to Allah because of the fidya, like this, okay, he vowed. So the loans of Allah Azza wa Jal, he had given, he's supposed to pay his zakah, he hasn't paid it, so the zakah goes from it. So that's loans of Allah. Also in that category, the loans is the loans of the people. So that means a person, that's before anything, before the will, before that is the people will take the money. Then the third issue is the will. And that will is basically what he had willed according to Islam, which is within the third. Then after the will goes to the state. So from the first thing, to free the state, I would say that, let me make them as well another category, because the first thing you have to as well the funeral procession, because this costs these days a lot. So his grave and his shroud and all of that goes from there. Then the loans, okay, the loans number one would say to free the assets. Loan number two to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's debts, which is to do with paying the zakah and the fidya. Number three, the people, and then the will, then the inheritors, the heirs. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Fourth question, which is better, to recite, to memorize, or I'll add to interpret? Okay? If you could do all of them, it'd be good. If you can't, then I will always al-fahm, always. Understanding takes priority. So if you take some verses and you start to read the interpretation of them, better than just to read the Quran, you understand nothing. You just like parroting. We don't want parrots. We want people. Parrot, he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, but you understand the parrot. What does it mean? It doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean he's a Muslim. No. There are parrots who would say, Jesus is one of the three. He would say that. So what does that mean? Make him a Christian parrot? Because what the parrot is called parrot, babbaga. Whatever you tell him, he will tell you back. Exactly the same. You could read Fatiha, you could read as well a Christian or a Jewish prayer as well. So we would say that, don't we be parrot, we want you to understand. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Now, give me the 5 questions.
She is asking when she should say Sami Allahu liman hamida when raising from ruku', and she wants to know particularly how the palms of the hands should be. Okay, let's go to Aman.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I wanted to ask, if there's no congregational prayer of Jummah, do we follow the sunnahs of the Jummah?
Can you louder your voice again?
If there is no congregational prayer, do we still pray the sunnahs for Jummah?
No, do we follow the sunnahs of the Jummah?
Follow the sunnah of the Jummah? What do you mean follow the sunnah of the Jummah?
The ghusl and the perfume.
Okay, I understand you. Yeah. Yes. Well done question. Yalla, third one.
She lives with her husband's family, and they do not speak to her, and they make issues between her and her husband. She said she wants to move out, but she's asking, is it wise for her to ask her husband to move out? He's the only son of theirs. Okay,
right.
We'll go to Abdullah, please.
No. Naam.
Go ahead, ya Abdullah.
Yalla, Abdullah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Regarding the video.
Hayakum Allah, quickly.
Regarding the video, if you cannot, feed, the food to the poor, can you give it instead of money? Because sometimes it's really hard to give the fidya. And that was the question regarding, the first question regarding my wife. Thank you.
If a family member gave you money to safeguard, and it has been with you for over a year, can you take zakah out of it?
To safeguard as an amana?
Yeah, it seems that way, yeah. If not, questioner, please, actually, it's questions from the private sisters class, so they won't be able to clarify, but that's what it says, Sheikh. Yeah.
Okay. First question, where do you raise up your hands and where do you say Sami Allah liman hamida? Sami Allah liman hamida as soon as you leave from your ruku'. So when you raise, Sami Allahu liman hamida. So where can it be wrong? If you said Sami Allahu liman hamida and you started raising, or you raised and you said Sami Allahu liman hamida, because this Sami Allahu liman hamida is while you're raising. So Sami Allahu liman hamida. You don't say while you subhanallah, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Okay, that's number one. Number two, where you raise the hand, the raising of the hand is not with Sami Allahu liman hamida, is linked to Rabbana wa lakal hamd. So Sami Allahu liman hamida. Now I could say Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Raising of the hands is exactly as takbirat al-ihram. This way or that way. Listen, this way, shoulder, or this way, earlobe to the thumb. This way or that way. So this or that. So when I do like this, this one will be on top here, parallel to the ear, top of my ear. Okay. That's the, and this is with Rabbana wa lakal hamd in the following way. You could say Rabbana wa lakal hamd and you raise, or Rabbana wa lakal hamd together. So Rabbana wa lakal hamd, or Rabbana wa lakal hamd. You could raise and then you say the Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Second question. Do we do the Sunnat al-Jum'ah even though we don't pray it at home? Because we don't. And the question said we don't pray at home. If you're praying the Jum'ah is different, but you're not praying the Jum'ah. You're praying Dhuhr. Okay? So in terms of the Jum'ah, the Sunnah, yes, you recite. Okay? You recite Surah Al-Kahf. Yes, you pass the rotation upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. No, there is no Sunnat al-Ghusl because you haven't got Jumu'ah. So that one was linked to the recitation of Surah Al-Kahf And the passing salutation upon the Prophet is linked to the day, not linked to the prayer. But whatever is linked to the prayer is not there. So there is no such thing to perfume, or there's no such thing as well to put the nicest clothes. There's no such thing as well to make the ghusl. Just like the women, when we go to masjids and pray the Jumu'ah, we make the ghusl. But the women who does not pray with us, they don't make the ghusl. But they want to come to the Jumu'ah, they have to make the ghusl. Okay? So all of that ghusl, anything linked to the prayer. But in terms of the Jumu'ah day, still we have the last hours before Maghrib on the day of Jumu'ah, the best of the hours where you could make supplication. Also we have the best of the prayer that is in the Fajr prayer of Jumu'ah in Jama'ah. Still we could make a Jama'ah at the house because it's not linked to the prayer of the Jumu'ah. The Jumu'ah prayer is not there, so we pray Dhuhr. Now, third question. Nasiha, advice to the person, to the woman, she's living with her husband, and her husband is the only son or the eldest son in her house, and she's living with him and his family, and his family is intervening and all of that. You know, you need more than just an advice in general. Basically, you're asking to be on your own. Is it correct to me to ask him what is the right way to do? You know, the woman who is clever woman, if she is able, okay, if she is able to accommodate for those little things that are taking place, because their family, they're going to interfere in your life whether you are with them or away from them. Maybe it's a bit less, but still, okay. But if you are going to be patient regarding their shortcomings, and also you bear in mind that maybe they are old parents and they are in need of help, and the only one who's going to help them is your husband. It's not incumbent upon you to help them. It's incumbent of the husband. Okay, so if you are doing that, I'm pretty sure it will work, inshallah, better for you. It will be more rewardable for you. So be patient. Okay, let your husband decide for himself whether it is better now to move or not. But not to be you, because you don't want to create conflict between you and your husband as well. So why don't you serve his parent just like he does serve his parents? Show some respect. I'm not saying to wash the cups for them, but if you do that, that will be kind. There will be kindness. It will be recorded for you, inshallah. That advice usually is the case, ya Ikhwani. It will take a long time, and we haven't got time. So can we just go to the questions, which are short? The fidya, I've answered the question. I said, no, money cannot be accepted. It has to be given to a third party as money, and that third party will give it to the poor person as in food. Don't give it. If you gave it money to the poor person, it will la tujzi. It will not be sufficient. It will not suffice. This person, he's got a trust. He's been trusted with amana, with some money. That you pay the zakah from it. You cannot pay the zakah from something you've been trusted with. No. So that means you trusted with him and you're not allowed to use it. If you have borrowed it, no, you have to pay zakah from it because you borrowed it yourself. But if it's been left with you, let's say somebody gave you 10,000, keep it with you. You don't give zakah from it without the consent of the owner. Even if you gave zakah from it, it will not reach the owner because he didn't have the consent. He has to have the consent. Fine. We got another 10 minutes. Go ahead.
Sheikh, this sister got married when she was a non-Muslim.
No advice to this question. Please, halal haram, quickly. Yalla.
Okay, she's asking, her husband hasn't given her the Hajj as a mahar that he promised her. And she's asking if she can forsake him in the bedroom until he pays, as a put pressure on him. She's asking, can she leave the bed in order for him to pay the mahar?
It's not allowed. Next.
Okay, we'll go to Abu Farid, please.
The husband is not allowed as well to postpone giving the mahar. This is a condition upon him. But she cannot use wrong, and wrong doesn't make right. Naam.
Go ahead, Abu Farid.
Sheikh, if you know a family member, maybe they're collecting now for charity.
Quickly, Abu Farid, no explanation. Go ahead, please.
If the charity is collected for charity, but it's not used as it's meant to be used, are you allowed to advise people not to give them the charity?
Right. Another question?
She's homeschooling her four children, but she doesn't feel that she is qualified. And she's asking about lots of different institutes where she could send them.
Ahmad, I said to choose the question which are already gone.
If they forget how many oaths they've broken, what do they do basically?
No. Another person?
Abu Muhammad, please go ahead.
Sheikh, can someone else pay the fidya for another
You're
person?
too far again, Ya Muhammad. We'll tell you a number of times, please, Yani.
Sorry, Sheikh.
Please, Yani, we're making it difficult for us. Now,
Can a person give fidya for someone else, meaning someone else owes it, but you pay on their behalf? For example, paying for the parents that can't fast due to illness.
Can you pay fidya on your parents?
On their behalf.
On their behalf, with their consent. No, pay. Yes, anybody else?
Can a husband seek forgiveness of Allah because he didn't pay mahar and he is really old now and he had cancer? He didn't pay the mahar.
He died?
No, he's alive, but he's not paid it. Can he just make istighfar?
Where can he pay? Where is the wife? I don't understand the question. With the wife, she's not there? It doesn't make sense, Ya Sheikh.
I think they're saying, can he just seek forgiveness because he didn't pay it because he's really old now? I'm not sure myself.
You get old, you get richer. I don't understand. Now, another question?
Okay, Abdullah Sunnah, go ahead, please. Abdullah, please go ahead.
Okay, before Abdullah, you've got it. Right, regarding the homeschooling, if you can't do anything, well, ask me as well. I'm in the same boat as well. Homeschooling is very difficult as well. You could get help from other people, pay them money, and they will teach you, inshallah. So homeschooling is very difficult, but if you can really invest into Islamic schooling, that will make your life easier, inshallah. That was the first question, wasn't it, Ya Ahmed? Or was it before it there was a question?
No, I think that was the first question, inshallah.
Yeah, and then you said to me something, which institute you directed to or something like this.
Yeah, same question. She mentioned some names of institutes
I don't know
in East London.
It is a question that don't ask me, Akhwani. I'm here to give you halal, haram, not to give you what is counsel and give you advice of counsel. And this is really a market. Did you see me? Right. This person, he forgot how many oaths he had done. Okay, for each oath you broke and you violate, you have to make a kafara. Now you don't forgot, you make, for example, if you don't know whether it's a 3 or 4, you make kafara for 4. 5 yamins or 7 yamins, 7 oaths, you make kafara for 7 to make sure that you've done all of them. Can I make a fidya on somebody else on his behalf? It has to be with his consent. Even if it's to do fidya on your son who is chronically ill or your parents, it has to be with their consent. You will not reach them. It has to be with their consent to give the fidya. So if they give, you could give them whatever you like. You give the fidya, inshallah, on their behalf. And I think that was the last question, wasn't it?
Yep.
Because you asked me something regarding the dowry here. Yes, the old man. There is no such thing that the dowry is as a debt in you for you, and you are saying, I want istighfar. There is no such thing. You can't. You have to pay the mahr, the dowry. Okay? Even if you die and the wife is alive, the first thing that goes from, we said, you remember the funeral procession, and after that the debts. From that debt, the debt of the people, you are in debt to her. So the dowry will be taken away, the dawah, the mahr, from the estate before she takes her inheritance. She takes either a quarter or 1/8, depending. If he's got children, she takes 1/8. Got no children, she takes a quarter. And that is after the dawah being taken away, because it's a loan, it's a debt. There's no such thing as called istighfar. Now, it's a debt on him. He has to pay it whenever he's capable of doing it. No.
If you want to ask a question, bottom right corner, you raise your hand with the 3 dots. If you've asked a question already and you really don't need to ask another, please give everyone else a chance. Is it permissible to pray next to my husband during Taraweeh, or do I have to stand behind him? Where does she stand, Sheikh?
No.
Abdullah, go ahead. Sorry, it was you next.
I'm doing like now, where they used to do in Islamic channel. I take about 5 questions and answers. Better like that, quickly.
We're having trouble with Abdullah. We can't hear him, so I'm going to have to move on to Abu Farid. Abu Farid, if you asked and you really can manage without asking again, please
no,
wait.
no. Abu Farid, he
Repeat
asked me.
question.
That's what the first question was not. It was his question. Sorry, Abu Farid. Your
No
question
problem.
about the charities, isn't it?
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah. I remembered now because I remembered your Farid. Because Farid means unique. So your question has to be unique as well. Because I said that to Ahmad, he said that's the first question. He is like me as well, having trouble with memory.
You cause problems.
And I, mashallah, give you the credit. Mashallah, tabarakallah, done a very good job. Regarding the advice, if you know some charities which are not honest, or they are honest but they don't know what they're doing, yes, akhi, tell them not to pay their money towards that charity. I did that so many times. Is that the answer for your question, Ya Farid?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair, sir.
Jazak Habibi. Praying with the wife and the husband. No, we don't pray together. She has to pray behind him. We don't want the lust to be triggered, that's first of all. And secondly, that's how the Prophet of Allah prayed with his wives. They are at the back, they don't pray next to him. Naam.
If family invite us for birthday, do we go or no?
Badi. Next.
Abu Muhammad, please go ahead.
Sheikh, if is there a certain sunnah for
Abu Muhammad, you
removing...
ask Abu Muhammad. Put a big sign on him. Wait for him. Take from the question from the paper. If you've got questions from the paper, give me that. Let me finish that.
So many.
You've got a big list. Let me finish from that.
It's very big, Sheikh. We haven't done anything. Is it better?
If you've got nothing, don't get to anybody. Don't get to Abu Muhammad and those people are already. Please.
Okay. Is it better and rewarding for the wife to
Put
forgive?
a star on Abu Muhammad. Yeah.
Is it better and rewarding for the wife to forgive and hope for reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Is it better to what? Sorry?
For the wife to forgive and want reward from Allah. That's the whole question.
Forgive what? I don't understand.
She didn't say general.
So if you give me a question you don't understand, don't give it to me.
Okay.
I don't know forgive what. Go on.
Okay. Can you pay zakah staggered, or do you always have to pay it all on the same day?
Next question.
So if I usually pay first of Ramadan, okay. Can you pay more than your zakah just to make sure you've not paid less?
No. Next one.
If one has been negligent with salah in the past and has missed salah due to the negligence, can they do qada, and make up for it?
Next question.
What should a wife do if a husband is refusing to pay zakah due to financial pressures?
I've answered the question.
Okay. If husband and wife bought a house and she put a lot of money into it, they divorced in this country, she gets a certain share, but is it permissible because the wife does not want to go against Islam?
She put money into the house?
Yeah, her and her husband spent money on the house. They're divorced and she gets a share now. Is she allowed to take that share because she wants to make sure it's halal?
Still not. She paid money. She's taking a share. So I don't understand. Where is the halal, not halal? Can you explain to me, Ahmed? She's already paid money with the husband.
Yeah.
So even without marriage, if you are partners, you split. You're going to take your share from the house. So I don't understand what is the halal haram.
I think she's saying that the courts in this country, they ruled a certain way, and she's saying, can she take the money from that ruling?
No, she takes the share from her house, but she already, I understand the question. If it is a woman, she did not pay anything. She was just a wife. That's understandable, but she paid money. She contributed with the husband. So if she took a share, that's halal. Next question.
What is the ruling on paying zakah for gold that is for personal use?
Next question.
If a couple wants to remarry after the first or second divorce, no, this has been asked.
Okay, when praying, take from anybody from the hands up? Nobody?
No hands left, Sheikh.
Okay, khalas, the last question here. I think you have to cut short into the question. Look at them, the ones being asked, take them away. Right, first of all, somebody had invited you for a birthday. Don't go for this. Birthday is not allowed in Islam. It's an imitation for the kuffar, and it's something that never been practiced by the Muslims or the companions. So this is not from our habits. We don't really go to these parties. Right. Person who's making qada. This is the fifth question. I'm gonna just remember. Person he wants to pay extra. So he wants to pay extra. Yes, Ahmed? Extra on the zakah.
Yes, to make sure they paid zakah.
Yeah, no problem. That's very good to pay extra. The problem is to pay less. No problem, inshallah. But the question before that is the zakah, all of it. What was that question? Was the zakah? The second, just before that, there was a question paying the zakah, all of it. Say zakah. Something to do with the zakah. The question before that. Sorry about that. It was not really good notes for me here.
The question was, do you have to pay the zakat all in one go, or can you pay?
Yeah, that's the one. Yes. Thank you very much, Zahid. Yes, you have to pay the zakah, all of it. Yes, you pay the zakah, all of it. That's why I put zakah, all of it. I put the answer, I didn't put the question. Yes, the salah, qaza, there's no such thing called qada. If you have forgotten the prayer or you have slept through the time of the prayer, then you pray it once you remember it. There is no such thing that you have deliberately pushed the time. You did not pray because you are busy with your phones and all of that, and you knew that there is a prayer on you. Then there is no such thing that you can go and make up for this prayer. There's no such thing with qada for this. When you forgot, or if you slept through, you pray it, and it's like it was on time. Zakah on the gold, you have to pay zakah on gold, whether it is for selling and buying, or whether it is for, adorning yourself and beautifying yourself. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. By this, alhamdulillah, we finished. Subhanakallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la tastaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Please make dua for me that Allah will solve my matter in my country. Assalamu alaikum.
Allah help you, Sheikh. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.